Leadership is hard. Titles change overnight, expectations pile up fast, and nobody hands you a survival map. That's why Leadership on the Rocks exists. Hi, I'm Bethany Reese, leadership coach, author, and speaker. And for 2 decades, I've been equipping leaders to navigate the wild, unpredictable terrain of leading people. Whether you're a new leader trying to find your footing or a seasoned leader trying to reclaim clarity, this podcast gives you the tools, truth, and encouragement you need to thrive in both your professional and personal lives. Each week, I sit down with leaders who have weathered storms, climbed mountains, and learned what it takes to lead without losing yourself in the process. If you're ready to build steady, grounded, life-giving leadership, this is your place. Let's climb together.
And he pulled out this water hose, and someone had taken it and thrown it in the shed, and you know what that looks like, right? It's just all messed up. He said, Tina, get on the other end of this and help me untangle it. And I did, and I started pulling. He said, Tina, no. He said, when you're wanting to loosen a knot, you have to be gentle with it, and you have to just go a little bit. You don't pull more, you give more.
This is the Leadership on the Rocks podcast, where we equip and empowers leaders like you to thrive in and create harmony between your professional and personal lives. I'm your host, Bethany Reese, and in today's episode, we're going to be talking with Tina Eliana about when life feels tangled and how leaders can still move forward without having full clarity. Tina Eliana is the CEO of Tina Presents. She's a strategic advisor, author, and leadership educator focused on helping people move from clarity to action. She holds 3 master's degrees. Yes, you heard me right. 3 master's degrees from Western Governors University in management and leadership, learning experience design and educational technology, and human resource management. She also serves as a WGU ambassador. She's a recognized peer leader within the educational technology and instructional design community. Tina is the author of her forthcoming memoir, Even the Sweetest Jam, and the leadership book, Aspire, Inspire, Lead. Through her work, Tina bridges lived experience, strategic thinking, and purpose-driven leadership, helping individuals navigate change, redefine success, and lead with both conviction and compassion. She is an emerging motivational speaker whose work centers on growth through adversity, intentional design on one's life and career, and the courage to build what doesn't yet exist. Welcome to the Leadership on the Rocks podcast, Tina. I'm so excited to have you.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for hosting me.
Oh, Tina. So you and I have actually been friends for a while. So we actually talked, guys, before we recorded this about how she and I could talk for hours and hours and hours. And we're going to do our absolute best to hold this to the normal average podcast. But please know that we do know each other. And I've just respected Tina so much. She is such a leader in all of the circles in which she is in. And she has such amazing stories and inspiration. So we're going to dive into that because I also, Tina, love the visual that we'll get into of just sewing and that needlework. So I want everybody out there to think about your grandma or maybe your grandma's grandma or whatever. You've seen some needlework at some point, some sort of sewing. And on the front side, it looks like it's all put together, right? The stitch is exactly as it needs to be. If it's embroidery, maybe it's a picture. But if you flip that sucker over or look on the inside, you're going to see strings going everywhere and it looks like absolute chaos. So before we dive into that visual, which I so love, I needed to put that in your head so you're thinking about your grandma. I want to start with, leaders for the most part are very capable, very faithful, but they're also very exhausted. And so we can, like that needlework on the front, look like we have it all together, but on the backside, we can be a complete mess. So what are you seeing in all the people that you serve that tells them that they're quietly inside a little bit of that tangled mess?
A lot of times people just need somebody to listen and just to go, hey, I see you. I get where you're wanting to go. Can I just give you some input? And oftentimes it's about the person offering that. It's about their vulnerability to say, guess what? I may look like my needlework is all together, but let me tell you about the chaos that I was able to get through. And so help you navigate a little bit around some of those obstacles.
Mm, I immediately you're putting me at ease of that. We've mentioned this before, that psychological safety.
Mhm.
I don't why. We know this is not true, but we so quickly believe the lie that we're the only one experiencing this. We're the only one experiencing tangles in our lives or our leadership, and it's just not a true statement. And
Oh,
and the way you started off is just, hey guys, the first thing that you got to do is let other people know that they're not alone. You got a tangled mess. We all are tangled messes, right? That's why we need a savior because this is a faith-based
yes,
podcast. But
yes.
thank you for reminding us of the truth of ain't nobody got it perfect.
No, no. And people, we could talk about social media, we could talk about everything. You can put all sorts of filters on your phone and you can do 100 selfies until you get
Mhm.
it right. But sometimes people need to see that worst image of like, oh, that didn't look good. Oh, yeah, somebody else is going to learn. And
Mm,
it's been my experience. The little things, but the biggest things that I have gone through in my life where I was like, I don't understand God. Later down the road, it's come back 100-fold. It has opened doors for me to be able, I don't say share my testimony because that verbiage shuts some people down.
yeah.
And so I just say, can I share my story? Or it just naturally opens to that. And we're so busy. Listen, I love ordering my groceries online and everything online because it's less I had to go out and do. But I have learned every single time I go out and do, there's somebody out there that needs me to be vulnerable.
Mm. That's so
Yes.
good. Thinking about the tangle, staying with this visual of we can portray image management. I have it all together as a leader. And I want you to broaden your scope here for those of you listening, a leader at work, a leader at home, a leader within your marriage, a leader within, friend circles, family circles, whatever, in the community, in serving. It aligns to all of this. So often we have that image management of I just want people to see the front side of that needlework.
Yeah.
But we feel, because the biggest battle is the one in our heads, we feel the tangled mess on the backside. And if we focus on that tangle, we can be taken off course very, very quickly. Because the truth is, God sees the full design. You mentioned this is I'm living through something. I don't know what God's going to do with it, but he's going to do something with it. And
Mm-hmm.
we so often stay focused on the tangle that we don't focus on God who's saying, "Hey, I'm going to turn this into something beautiful." Help us
Absolutely.
change our perspective on what we're staring at.
Absolutely. So this has kind of been my philosophy of life for years, is how I look at it. On the back, if you've seen anybody you've seen on it, it is like Bethany said, a horrible, just tangled mess. There are different colored threads interwoven that doesn't make sense. And there are knots all around it.
Oh, yes.
And what I have learned are those knots represent two things. Those knots are either the barriers that are in front of us, or it's literally a knot that God is saying, NOT, this is not the path you are supposed to be on. And you need to step back and let's take a look at this. So sometimes those knots are there because God needs you to go, wait a minute. Okay, I'm going to listen. And
Mm.
some of the difficulty is when I'm on that thread. I've got that purple thread and I'm on that path and I know that's what I'm going to do. And God says, no, puts that knot there, that obstacle. And I have two choices. I can either try to work around the knot and continue with my purple thread, or I can take the necessary steps if there's things that needs to be purged from my life. Go get the
Mm.
little needle, go get the scissors or whatever, and delicately move those things. Now that's a harder process, but it's a more rewarding process. Oh my goodness, you learn so much more about your relationship with God when you just make yourself vulnerable and say, I will be willing to do what it takes on this messy side because you see that beautiful complete picture on the other side. And Lord, I'm so sorry. I grabbed that purple thread when I grabbed that orange thread, but I know you're still going to make a beautiful picture out of it anyway.
Oh man, my mind is blown. I'm sitting here. I can't get it out of my head. On the back tangled side of that needlework, it can be a knot, Knot, and it's something that is a pain in the rear, but you have to go through it and you have to be very meticulous to undo the tangled mess. But you learn a lot about yourself in the process. There's a patience, maybe it's character growth, maybe it's realizing you have to do it all alone and bringing in other people to help you. And there's
Yes.
so much learning in the Knot, but then sometimes it's a Not. Like you blew my mind when you said that. First of all, I love puns too. So, I mean, it's a Knot or it's a Not, but there's a learning from both of those. And that is so true. We often don't take time. Leaders tend to be the get it done people, right? I'm going to go and I'm going to get it done. And we can get so ahead. You and I were actually talking about this earlier. We can get so ahead of God. We run ahead of him in so many things, following our own plans instead of sitting still and waiting for his divine timing of where to
Yes.
go and how to navigate. It's so true. I'm so guilty of this.
Oh, me too. And that's the thing I tell people is I am an imperfect human flawed. I'm an imperfect woman, perfectly loved by her heavenly Father.
Mm-hmm.
And so within his love, I just picture when there's stains, I'm like, oh yeah, this is it. This is how it's going to go. I know it.
Mm-hmm.
I just visualize God like holding his mug of hot chocolate or coffee, and he's just doing that dad chuckle, like, yeah, you just wait, kid. You just wait. That's what's going to happen. And so that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of how I visualize him. And I'm like, okay, I get it. Go
Mm-hmm.
drink coffee. I'll sit here and just kind of let you lead me. And that's how it is for me.
It's it's such a I just love this visual that you talk about so much. You know, God sees the full picture, right? He's everywhere. He is past, present, future. He is in all things. And I personally can get so frustrated
Yes.
with things aren't following my plan. Number one, God, did you not get a copy of the life that I wrote? Let me send you a latest update edit,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, exactly.
But then also things don't go as fast as I want them to. You know, there's so many things that I could do as an example of things not going as fast. You know, let's go with most recently in my life, I've become an entrepreneur. I left education, became an entrepreneur. Well, where's the, worldly success of everything if I'm checking all these boxes? And I get so ahead of God in those things. And you reminded us this is exactly how you started the podcast is he sees the full picture and purpose is not revealed all at once. And I have to
Mm-mm.
say, as much as I know that's true, man, it aggravates me. I just want to pray and say, God, give me clarity on where to go next. And then I want to download. I want the burning bush. And it only happened one time in scripture. It is such a slow rollout,
It is.
and I love that you remind us that purpose isn't revealed all at once. So walk us through how to be patient as we learn through the tangle.
Absolutely. I will tell you how I do it. And you can either do it physically or you can do this mentally. You get out two pieces of paper and you draw two circles. And on one of them, you write me, and the other one, you write God. And in that circle, you write everything that God has given you, the intellect, the talent, the empowerment to handle those situations. I've got to go wash 3 loads of laundry. Yep, that's in my control. I need to get groceries. That's in my control. Or obviously bigger things. Write all those in that circle and leave the other circle blank because if it's not on yours, it's already in his.
Ooh.
And so I have to sometimes remind myself, I just think, is this in my circle? God,
Mhm.
is this in my circle? God, are you trying to equip me to let this be something that becomes part of my circle? And if not, it's yours. And here's the other thing that I had to really learn about my circle. My circle is mine, which means I don't need to bring somebody else's drama into my circle. They've got their own circle with God. I need to focus on what needs to go into my circle. And so
Mm.
that's the visual I have to give. And sometimes my husband will tell you, he'll like, what's it? I'm like, just visualizing my circle. I just need a minute. And so that's really how it is. And as far as when you're talking about like the prayers with God and that sort of thing, I used to do the same thing. God, can you just tell me? God, just can you just, if this is the time you're going to come write something on a wall, could it be now? But I finally got to a position in life where I had to say, God, you already know the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
So just give me the calmness and the clarity as I walk through this, that it's in alignment for what you want me to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
It's,
that's not easy to do all the time. And I don't always get it right, but I try.
yeah.
I try.
And I feel like you've given us all a new mantra. We've talked about mantras on this podcast before of how to stop the spiraling of our thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever, you have a thought, and especially if it's a negative one, we can spiral and that builds up the anxiety, the anger, the emotions, all the things that we don't want to have as leaders. And you were just saying, is this in my circle?
Yeah.
And that is such a great way to pause your thinking on so many things because in a leadership position, again, we want to go and accomplish and do, and we will often step over our circle boundaries and go try to solve everybody else's problems. Now, as a leader, we can invite people into the problem solving skill sets that they need to solve the problems within their circles. Or if you're leading an organization, you can set up the systems and the procedures, the structure needed to remove the chaos. But internally, so often I overstep my circle all the time. And you're reminding me to stop. Just, is this in my circle? If it's not, it's in God's. And God handles not only my life, but He handles everybody else's life on this planet. And
That's
so
right.
I just need to relax with thinking I have to go do it all, run ahead, do all the things. And, I also found that God is so faithful not to give us the 10-step plan. Like, I think we would be overwhelmed if we saw the full needlework of our lives, the
Yeah.
front picture of that. And He's so good to just give us, just be obedient in this one step. And you said this, you said the outcome is His. It's
Yes.
it's not ours. Our job is to be obedient in that. And so essentially, can you help us understand if we are a tangled mess on the backside and we know it's a KNOT knot or a NOT knot, but how do we take a step forward, even though we don't have clarity on what the front of the needlework looks like and what the whole picture looks like? How do we take the next step when we don't have full clarity?
Well, I will actually give you an example from my grandfather. So he was a minister and I was his little buddy. So we went together and did everything. We went up to the church one day and he pulled out this water hose. I don't know what he was going to do, but he pulled it out and then someone had taken it and thrown it in the shed. And you know what that looks like, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just all messed up. And he said, Tina, get on the other end of this and help me untangle it. And I did. And I started pulling, thinking, I was a young kid, started pulling. He said, Tina, no. He said, when you're wanting to loosen a knot, you have to be gentle with it and you have to just go a little bit. You don't pull more, you give more.
If you're enjoying the Leadership on the Rocks podcast, be sure to subscribe and follow so you don't miss a single episode. And also, please rate the show. We hope to earn 5 stars in serving you in leadership. And through your ratings, it'll help us get the word out about what we do here at Leadership on the Rocks. Now, back to the show.
And so that's how I envision and knots. And you do them one at a time. I know how overwhelming it can be when somebody's going through really, really deep personal things and you're a leader and you're dealing with this. Oh, and your favorite employee's going through this, or I've got this employee that I can't connect with, and I've got this and this and this and this and this. Look at the knots. Look at which one can I immediately, what is one thing I can immediately do? It could be something simple. It could be something simple like sending an email to that employee that you can't connect with to ask about their day. It can look like, you know what, self-care. Maybe I need to go get a manicure, or I need to go for a walk or a hike or whatever it is within
Mm-hmm.
that. Sometimes you just need to give your mind a rest, because
Mm-hmm.
my opinion is, the Bible says that our bodies are the temple of God. So for me, if it is in our temple, it is our responsibility to take care of it. So if I need something to with my eyes, I go to an an optometrist, or my feet a podiatrist, etc. But we're, as Christians, we're so hesitant to go to specialists about our brain. But God gave us a brain for a reason. That's where all of our knowledge of Him resides in our brain. We feel it in our heart, but it resides in our brain. And so if we have a lot of knots, we then need to find trusted people that can help talk us through it. For some people, it's finding a leader within their church or a trusted friend or a high quality recommended therapist, somebody just to sit and help you look at all of those circles, excuse me, all of those knots that are in our circle, and say, here's one thing. Sometimes we think knots are ours when really they're somebody else's. Sometimes people put their knots on us, whether it's through things in childhood or those sort of things. And so finding somebody that can help you just kind of weave through it, first of all, and go, let's just focus on this one little knot. And then when you overcome that one little knot, then you have the confidence, hey, maybe I can go tackle this other one. And it's also, so today, I'm going to give my 100%. That's what people say, right? I'm going to do this to the best of my ability. I'm going to give 100%. But if we run on 100% all the time, we are going to just totally deplete ourselves. But my best today may only be 50% of what I gave yesterday, but it's going to be the best of what I can do today. And give yourself permission and grace to go, that's okay. Today, this is what I'm capable of working on in this circumstance.
That's so good. The visual, I mean, the wisdom of your grandfather in that water hose story, right? We've all seen a tangled water hose. Surely we've all seen that. And the wisdom of you don't pull it tighter, you give. You don't pull, you give. And so whenever you have a KNOT in your life or in your leadership, I mean, Tina, that is sitting on my heart and mind deep of I need to give. I need to give more time to God to say, help me with this KNOT. I need to give more time to the people He's put in my life. You know, God will often use other believers to help you work through things for confirmation or for, you know, reflecting or revealing and all of these things. And so if you're experiencing a KNOT, you know, work through that. Give to God, give time to others, give time to yourself to sit with that. But then also, whenever it's revealed that that KNOT is not yours, NOT, make sure you give it back to the person because you don't want to work through their tangled mess.
That's right. Absolutely.
It was so good, so good.
Yes.
And I love that you're a proponent of, you know, there's so many ways we can so just get in our arrogance, in our pride. I can do it. I can figure it out. Um, and you're saying, no, it takes community. Go therapy, you know, go learn from other people. That is going to help you address the internal chaos that so many of us feel, and we just don't talk about it. We don't share because we just want that image management. We just want to show that the front side of our picture, not the back tangled side. So it's so good whenever it comes to that. So as we've worked through, let's say we've worked through our KNOT, our knot. Whenever it comes to the next thread, like how can we take what we've learned from the first knot so that our next thread doesn't get in the same tangled mess?
Discernment. It's learning the art of discernment. It's it's learning the art of taking those key takeaways from that lesson of the KONT so you don't get more of those. And recognizing patterns of what you did with that old knot. Oh, wait, that's what I did. And stop repeating those patterns. I always say, who I am now is not who I used to be. And by the grace and mercy of God, who I am now is not who I'm going to be. Woo! And so if you can put yourself in that kind of framework of going, that's who I used to be. It's not who I want to be. And so I need to make some better choices. Sometimes it's friendships that need to end, relationships that maybe those are trying to lead you to making more KONTs or certain, whatever the choice may be. But it's just recognizing what made that previous knot so you can do your best with the great grace, guidance, love of God to say, okay, Lord, am I doing this right? Oh, okay, hold on. Teach me those knots. You think about all the people
Yeah.
that know all the knots, and but God's gonna teach you how to not create those knots, but to just keep going. And you know what? Sometimes if you know how like if you take a thread and you just kind of make a quick itty bitty little, oh wait, I didn't mean to do that. God's like, okay, all right, now let's get past it. Let's not make that
Hmm.
a huge knot.
Oh, it's so good. You know, every person has the tangled mess in their lives.
Yes.
And you also experience seasons where you get new tangled messes. You know, parenting is the easy one to pick at is, if you are having your first kid, you don't know anything about babies. You're going to
No.
have a lot of tangled knots, right? And then toddlers and then teenagers and then adulting, parenting children. All right, marriage, you're newly married. You're going to have some knots there. So every new season, every new situation is going to bring its own knots. And
Yes.
so I love that you're reminding us of, to give in that, to work through those knots because they're going to build character. They're going to build skill sets. They're going to build so many things that you need for everything else in your life. And your reminder of who I am now is not who I used to be, and who I am now is not who I'm going to be
Yes.
is like a breath of fresh air for me personally. And I hope y'all heard that. And I hope you let that soak in because it's the truth. I'm not who I was, but I'm still being refined and reworked, and God's still working out the tangles.
Yes.
And so I'm not who I'm going to be yet. So let's turn now to the leader who is taking a hot second after listening to this episode and they look at the backside of their needlework and they're like, oh dear God, I have a lot of tangled mess. Am I behind? Am I too late? Is this even salvageable? It,
Yeah.
what would you say to that leader?
I would say first take a wonderful deep breath and realize, like we said earlier, you're not the only person that's ever gone through that. There are people out there that, first of all, also, it's not too late. If you woke up today, then God still has a purpose for you. And so it is not too late for you to look for the resources that are out there, whether it's through books, podcasts, um, going to professional development, learn what skills, look at what is the most immediate thing you could learn, the skill, the book, what can I read, what can I do to just improve this one little thing, and start navigating it that way. And don't try to read the book, go to the professional development, go to the different seminar. Like if you try to do so much at one time,
Mm-hmm.
you're just adding more to the chaos. So
Mm-hmm.
pick one thing, just one thing that you can focus on and go from there.
I love that permission slip. Don't do all the things. Just pick
No,
one.
just pick
Give
one.
time to one to help you get started. It's so good. Tina, this has been a fabulous conversation. And I have to throw out there again, you and I could keep talking for another couple of hours. And just the wisdom that pours out of your mouth, I sit in awe of that. And I'm just so glad to know you personally. But after having talked about, the tangled mess that we all know that we are, in working through those tangles, what are some key takeaways for our listeners that they need to apply to grow in their leadership, their tangled leadership mess? What are some key takeaways?
Key takeaways are one, know that you're not alone and that there are people out there that are available to you to give guidance, to give wisdom. Be vulnerable with yourself and to be able to even go to employees or go to somebody and say, could you give me feedback on what would make me a better leader for you? Because everybody it learns from each other differently. Take it one knot at a time. Don't try to take care of everything at the same time. Use resources that are out there. And I can tell you 100% without a doubt that if it wasn't for God, I would not be who I am. So saturate every single thing in your prayers, saturate it in saying, God, guide me through this so I cannot be who I used to be.
So good. Thank you for that. I really appreciate it. And I know everybody listening does. So, Tina, in thinking about the key takeaways, okay, now tell us one thing we shouldn't do. What is one poor decision you would warn our leaders to avoid? What's something we should not do?
Stop being stubborn. Stop
Why'd
being
you have to say that
stubborn.
one? Come on.
Yes. So often, and listen, I'm right there. I I have a huge stubborn streak, and it's like, but God, I can do it. I'm pulling on that knot. So stop trying to
Hmm.
keep doing the same thing over and over and think you're going to have a different outcome.
Yeah.
So stop being stubborn, stop repeating cycles, and I would say stop cutting other people off that could really help you. Look,
Mm.
stop being blinded to what is in front of you that may be able to help.
Man, all that is so tied to pride and selfishness, just feeling like I know best and I know what I need to do. Pride, stubbornness, right? And I
Mhm.
continue to try to fight for my plan. And then cutting people off is another example of they don't have anything to teach me.
Yeah.
Oh, the arrogance of that statement. And I just, oh, thank you for saying those things. I needed to hear them. So, Tina, you are fabulous. Where can our listeners go to learn more about you, your work, and your upcoming memoir? And I adore this name, Even the Sweetest Jam. And then also your leadership book, which I'm so excited about, Aspire, Inspire, Lead.
Yes. TinaEliana.com is the website that you can go to. I'm also on LinkedIn, and there's also a Facebook page for people that are interested in connecting as I share some insights with others.
That's awesome. And I will have links to all of those in the show notes. Make sure you click on it and go get to know Tina. Your life is just going to be so much better by knowing her. Mine is. So, Tina, thank you for being here and spending your time and sharing your wisdom.
Thank you so much.
All right. Guys, until next time, continue putting in the work of building your life and leadership on the rocks, the essential rocks. God bless. Remember, the most essential rock you can build your life and leadership on is the rock of Jesus Christ. Today's Bible verse comes from James chapter 1 verse 5. If you need wisdom, ask our generous God, and he will give it to you. He will not rebuke you for asking.